okay, we're doing something different here. Now, this is the fourth time I've said this, but we're doing this different. I am doing an extremely small review of NXT because this is a Gump report. I'm throwing a little bit of NXT into a Gump report because I got to talk about this. This is going to be encompassing both the main roster and NXT. And I will be talking about Raw and my feelings about what's going on with the company. But I am going to talk roughly about what happened in NXT. Now, let's do that quickly. This was good. I'm not going to tell you it was perfect, but it was a good show. It's covering majority of what needs to be done before Stand and Deliver. And the kicker here is that it's pretty well balanced. There doesn't seem to be that much interference or orders coming from the main roster. Because normally we would get something. You guys know how it is. The main roster usually would dictate what's needed at nearing the end, going into Stand and Deliver. It's just how it always is. So what we have here was not bad. The build for Roxanne Perez going into Lyra bit. How can I say this? Seeing that they have built Lyra Valkyria pretty well, it's good. But the shining moment is Roxanne Perez. How they built her from when she did collapse in the ring to trying to make something out of it into what it is now. It's done very well. Is it perfect? No, it's not. When it comes to Roxanne, she's still very, very not bland, but she just doesn't have the understanding like a Randy Orton does right now, because Randy and her were very similar. Randy's not just about his monotone voice, it's about his delivery. He didn't understand how he wanted to deliver stuff, how he wanted to be passionate about it. Roxanne is passionate about it, but she does not have the delivery of it. She's where Randy was before. So seeing that she has progressed quite a lot, and her in-ring work is compensating for how she's showing her character and how she talks with that character, is good. So seeing this match at Stand and Deliver is going to be a good culmination for her, and it will give Lyra Valkyria something, but it's alright. Then, what we have here, when it comes to Umafemi, he's not ready to go beyond the North American Championship. But he has done some good work going in the ring and rough. Sometimes it's like this, between being okay to a little below, maybe a little bit above, but that's how his promos are, how he talks. This is still very new to him, and he's needed to be done to Stand and Deliver, and there's a possibility that there's going to be a triple threat with that when it comes to Dijak and Briggs, because we don't know. By next week, I'm sure they are going to have a match. There's no way they're not going to do some type of match. I think Ava's going to sanction that. There's going to be a match next week, possibly, or it's going to be set up for it. And for the last week before then, they will actually do it. And they'll probably set this up as a triple threat because Briggs and Dijak are much more developed. They know how to handle a situation and something like that. And they're going to set up Umafemi so whether he wins or loses, the match will generally be good. So it's good to see they're letting him have that moment at Stand and Deliver, but they're going to give him two who are more developed than him to guide him and watch out for him. That is a good thing, and we'll see more development next week. Now, when it comes to the family, the D'Angelo family, very well developed. Seeing Tony as developed as he is good. Seeing how Ilya Dragunov has been delivered in this situation. He's not one of the greatest when it comes to the mic, but it is working pretty damn well. And I must say that this is going to be a very interesting thing for the next week and a half that we have before we reach Stand and Deliver. It's pretty interesting. Now, I could cover Saruka. I could also cover the tag champs. I'm not doing that. I'm leaving it. I will say when it comes to the Heritage Cup, it was a good match. But there's a big question of how far they're going to go with Riley and Thea Hale. And then the question is, where's Thea Hale going to be dealing with JC James and Jasmine? Now I remember her name, Jasmine. It's going to be a question of what they're going to do with him, with her, and then with her, with the other two. That's where the question's coming in. And this is, what, 4 or 5? This is going to be 6. I am adding a little bit more. Finally, Mello. Trick. The most strongest and most dominant storyline they have. And it's a good one. The closing of the show, seeing Mello come out, tricking Trick by looking one of the security officers, or security guards, going like this, and then getting his ass kicked. I knew there was something. I knew when I saw him, I said, that's Mello. And then when I saw the guy come out and say, he's darker than Mello. And then when I see Mello whoop that Trick's ass, that was Mello. So I can tell you, the setup for Mello and Trick is done very well. And this is where we're done with the review. And now this is the Gump Report. Let's make this clear. I saw Raw. And it was trash. And here's the interesting thing. Right now, as far as I can tell, JD notices something's wrong. If you did not see JD's stream on Monday, he notices something wrong when it comes to Rock. Flat out, he knows it, and he's already coming up with a conspiracy theory of Rock may one day buy WWE from Endeavor, counting on what I will talk about in a minute happening. But then you see just Alex, who is fine with everything going on. He may not 100% feel that Raw was great, but as far as he's concerned, as far as he's seeing with rose-tinted glasses, The Rock can do no wrong. And the only thing he's talking about, the only thing he cares about, is that The Rock is the center point here. And him talking about, with the new mandate, because there is a mandate has been put down that every wrestler must abide by the PG standard that Endeavor has brought down. Well, TKO Group Holdings, through Endeavor, has brought down. And his complaint, because many of the wrestlers are quite upset because The Rock is not following the mandate. And basically at this point, because I did see some, not all of it, I hadn't had a chance to look at all of that promo that Cody did. I was in the bathroom. Had to go to the bathroom. By the time I came back, I saw the tail end of it. And I understand what was being spoken about and the cursing that went on. But he's saying, well, Cody finally manned up. He can do what he wants. No. This is what Alex does not want to hear. There's a double standard. JD sees it. Alex is saying, it doesn't matter. You don't have to curse. You don't have to. But JD already knows, and it's already being mostly reported, that The Rock is showing a lot of attitude and ego to the point where he's giving orders. He is giving orders and what did I say almost 5 months ago? What happens when Vince leaves the position of executive chairman? Who is the one who's going to give the orders to Triple H? I said this months ago when JD and Alex did not want to hear anything other than the praise that Vince is gone, everything's going to be great. But I knew 100%, sadly, I wish I was not right. And you, one of the subscribers, you know who you are, you know how I feel. I wish I was wrong. I wish 100% that what I'm seeing is 100% wrong, that it's crap, that I'm stupid, that it'll turn around the way it should, and 100% clearly, I will be proven wrong, and you guys are going to tell me, dude, you were wrong, eat crow, and I'll say, you know what, fine, I'll eat it. It was just a theory, fine, I was wrong. But if JD is now seeing that there's a situation with now the executive chairman of the board of TKO Group Holdings, who is The Rock, who is not acting like a wrestler. Understand this, even though You're saying that he's one of the greatest wrestlers in history. He's not acting like one. He's acting like a freaking movie star who wants to have things his own way. Like I said, if they don't know what the business is, they're going to act wrong. And at this point, The Rock is not acting like a pro wrestler anymore. He's acting like a businessman who was and is an actor. So what am I talking about here? You looked at Raw. When you look at Jimmy and Jay who opened the show, literally, it meant nothing. You know why? Because for so many months, Jimmy has been disregarded and made a fool of. And now, when in less than a month, he's now acting more serious, which doesn't do anything. It doesn't. Why would you care about Jimmy trying to screw over Jay now, when literally he's been made a fool of and has jobbed almost every single week for months? Very rarely did he win unless he was in a tag match and it was Solo who saved his butt, or Roman who saved his butt, or someone from the outside who saved his butt. He has looked like trash. Trash, he looked. So, when you see the situation with Jimmy and Jay, and it should be booked very well, and they'll probably wrestle great, I freaking don't care. And that angers me. Next, Drew's not cared about. When was the last time you heard anything important from Drew McIntyre, who is the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship? You haven't. Look at Seth Rollins. What is he focusing on? Is he focusing on Drew McIntyre? No. His focus is with Cody Rhodes. Now, many people would say, dude, he has to because he's going to be in night one match. That match, it has to be there. And he's going to be working again later. It's not the point. You have to balance it out. You got to make sure Drew is still cared about. And you got to make sure that the match for that tag is cared about. So you will make sure that Roman and Rock is represented, yes. Drew is not forgotten about. And Seth, even though has to do 2 matches, he's got to go between them. He's got to show interest in Drew. He's got to show interest in Cody. Have you seen that with Drew? No. He's focused entirely on Cody Rhodes. None of it about Drew. So Drew's moment has been completely negated. Even if they do it now, up until WrestleMania, it means nothing. Rhea Ripley, when it comes to... Let me give it to you like this. When you see Becky and Rhea, it does mean something. It's one of the few things that's going to be good. Not because Roman and Rock won't be good with Seth and Cody. The match and the story there is there. But at least it had been developed properly compared to this mess that has been one big... We got a big trouble on our hands. Let's throw this to see if the fans are going to be interested in. Because Becky and how can I say this? You have a well-built story, even if it's not a very long one. We've always known Becky and Rhea were eventually going to meet one another because Charlotte is not there. So we knew eventually had to do it because there was no Charlotte. Now, this has been built up a little before we had Royal Rumble. We knew this was going to eventually happen. We knew they'd been doing the setup for it. So you care about it. But when you see Seth, Cody, Roman, and Rock, it has not gone the way they wanted. No matter how many people want to see The Rock or want to see Cody finish the story. For me personally, it's not the point. Which one is the better story? Is it Cody and The Rock? Is it Cody and Roman Reigns? Is it just Roman Reigns going against The Rock or Roman Reigns going against Cody? It doesn't matter. To me, it's about what Ori will allow. Ori Emanuel is the key here. It's not The Rock. Even though, and this is going back to JD, whose theory is that eventually, due to The Rock's arrogance and how he is literally manipulating the booking, because as before, like I said 5 months ago, when Vince was given this position and when the allegations of not this, but about the inquiry for the grand jury, I said we did not know what's going to happen. Vince could be brought in by the grand jury, and then they're going to get rid of him. And this situation, basically it did happen, just there was no grand jury. It's about this pretty much this civil court case and showing if Vince did what he did to Grant and basically screwed that woman over, shitted on her head or pissed on her, and then sold her around so she can fuck other people. This is pretty much the same thing as if the grand jury had indicted him. TKO would have gotten rid of him. Same thing. No different. But as I said 5 months ago, I said it clearly. We do not know who's going to take the place of Vince. It doesn't matter if Vince got indicted, Vince got sued, Vince got sick, or Vince died. It makes no difference. The executive chair position is going to still be there, and whoever took that position, it had to be someone who at least had a good understanding of pro wrestling and understands that it's not a regular business. And now we got The Rock, who got paid $30 million to take that position, who wanted a position and wanted a match with his cousin that took precedence over everything. He is not acting like a wrestler. He's acting like a businessman who is rich, who is an actor, and once happened to be a wrestler, very popular. His position as a wrestler does not matter in this situation. It is about getting what he wants. That's what this is about. This is not about The Rock is one of the greatest wrestlers. That means shit at this point. This is now about what The Rock wants, and will Ari allow it for as long as he does? Because as much as people keep saying, NJD, and he's going to keep saying that The Rock's going to want what he wants, it doesn't matter. Ari is still the one who owns TKO Group Holdings, who owns TKO UFC, and TKO WWE, and Endeavor. He owns 4 companies. That's under one umbrella. And the key of this entire situation that no one is seeing yet, if I'm right, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but at this point, because of the controversy that's going on inside the company, and worse, the company is still very young. TKO Group Holdings is still a young company. No one wants to see that. It's less than a year old. And anything can go wrong with a company, including if the stock takes a freaking dive. And this could end up like WCW. The difference between WCW will be there is no WWF compared to the WWE. There is none. The most we got is AEW, a reborn TNA that is in its own controversy because they got rid of the one person that really understood the company and has now been replaced with a guy very similar to Ari Emanuel. NWA, which now has, unfortunately, just like TNA, has a deal with Endeavor's streaming service. Those 2 other companies are pretty much kind of bound to it, but they're not locked in. So when it comes down to the situation that I am seeing, guys, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, we have no idea by the time this company reaches 1 year how Vince and anyone else who could be implicated in the civil case that could easily filter over to a federal case that can bring in Vince, John Laurinaitis. You never know, Bruce Pritchard could be a part of it. Hell, and this might not be something that's great. Triple H could be involved in this. Stephanie could be involved in this. It's not about them literally doing the deeds like Stephanie fucked this woman or shitted on her or pissed on her or Triple H. But they could be accomplices by knowing what was going on. They could be connected to it, and you will see Endeavor get rid of Triple H. Because to be honest, they're already nearing the point where they're ready to get rid of him. They're going to wait until everything stabilizes And then just to make sure the problem that Vince had, the most senior people there are going to be removed. And one of them will be Triple H. JD is right in one respect, that whether The Rock gets ownership of the company or not, Triple H will be exonerated because we will know who ran creative between the time when Vince first left, came back, and then had to resign, basically resign again. Well, he didn't resign, he retired, but then left, resigned. We will know. But what he doesn't see is that if this company is so hungry for money and does not care if they please the fans or not, as long as a huge chunk of money comes in and they completely change the company around to suit whatever will bring the most money in, they lose the fans, eventually it can go to crap. Pro wrestling is not like UFC, and it's not like a regular company. It's different. And if they don't understand that, it's going to go under. And you're probably going to say, dude, The Rock understands. He's been part of the business since he was a baby. It's not the point. He could be in part of the business since he was born. Does not mean he knows how to run it or understand past his own attitude of wanting it his way. If he got control of WWE, does not mean the WWE will work correctly. It won't. They could make it work with hiring somebody else other than The Rock controlling it. But anything can go wrong. And as I said, like WCW went under due to the fact that Turner's company was trying to acquire AOL. And it fell through. And another, I believe at least 2 other things that he was trying to work out, 2 other business arrangements that also fell through. It almost went under and he sold the company. There's a strong possibility that Endeavor, with TKO Group Holdings, with USC and WWE are going to have a major issue because you never know when the stock may plummet due to the fact of either Vince's involvement in doing what he did and anyone else. Or something could go wrong and the stock could plummet. If the stock goes down, it hurts TKO. And Ari is going to do whatever it takes to make sure money comes in. He doesn't care if the company doesn't look good to the fan. Look at Logan Paul. Prime is now a part and will be shown prominently in the ring. What happens if something goes wrong with Prime? What happens when something goes wrong with, well, guess what? The scheme that he had a part of where he was trying to do some type of game that was supposed to give people money back. It was kind of a crypto game. And it never went anywhere. And legitimately, he owes millions of dollars to people. What happens if he has to go to court? What happens if that irreparably messes with the stock? They'll fire him, but before that happens, it'll mess with the stock. You never know. Anything could happen. But this is just me. I know this isn't a regular NXT review. I'm sorry, but I thought this should be done. I didn't want to wait to do a Gump report. I just added them both together. I don't even know what I'm going to call it. Peace.